What is next when it comes to Casper? Is it really all over? Personally, for me, no. And even though that's not financial advice nor a guarantee, I'm going to explain why. It's because if I take a look at Casper as of right now, yes, the whole situation has been complete caca. It's a complete mishandling, in my opinion. You take a look at Casper Labs, again, become Improve AI, moving on to Hedera. I totally understand that. But again, the past is the past. We can't change that. But what is, going to be Casper like moving forward? Now, here's the way I take a look at it. Let's say we take a look at first in terms of price. As of right now, the price of Casper is going down. It's making new all-time lows, and people keep thinking, okay, it's going to keep going lower and lower. And here's the thing. I don't know exactly how low it's going to go. And could it go lower from where it is right now? Absolutely. A lot of people keep panic selling, all this type of stuff. But here's the thing. In my opinion, eventually, there's going to be a point where all these people who don't believe in it, they exit, right? But then eventually, again, there's going to be those who stay. And what is that point going to be? Only time will tell. But again, there's going to be a point where it eventually kind of bottoms out, where very few people do want to leave. It's like, for instance, you take a look at Bitcoin. Do you remember back in 2021, it made a very amazing all-time high. And then, continually after that, right, it just kept going lower, lower, and lower. And eventually it went to the price of around $16,000. Now, when that happened, a lot of people kept saying, hey, it's going to go lower, it's going to go lower. But, the Bitcoin holders, they eventually at one point was like, yeah, we're not going to sell what we have in some cases, right? And then eventually what happened, as more and more people entered, as the buying volume increased, Bitcoin, it is what we see of today as of right now. This year it did break a new all-time high. So you got to think about that, right? When it comes to something, sometimes, right, when there's no more people left to exit, bottoms out, quite essentially, there's only one way to go, and that's up again. Now, when it comes to Casper, am I saying that it's going to make a massive, like, Bitcoin type of recovery? I'm not saying that. I'm not guaranteeing that. Because in my opinion, when it comes to Casper, this is a very unfortunate situation. This whole thing kind of happened too soon, in my opinion. Or should I say, too close to a bull run, in my opinion. Again, because you take a look at how if this situation, let's say, happened like a year ago or something like that, it wouldn't be as bad as what it is right now. But as of right now, a lot of people, they're seeing meme coins pump, some AI projects pump. So then the sentiment just got kind of a little bit worse because they're like, oh, wow, this project's pumping. Even though I would say that we're seeing nothing yet, really, when it comes to what the eventual bull run, the peak of it, I should say, could be. Even despite that, it's just a bad look overall. It's just bad vibes. And then, of course, the FUD is just very strong. When it comes to Casper, the community wasn't the biggest to begin with. So, like, just a little bit type of news, quite essentially, it could very well influence a lot of the, community members, if you really think about it. Because if, let's say, some news came out when it comes to, like, Dogecoin, my friend, right, who's out busy partying, let's say, somewhere in Cabo or, like, Miami or whatever the case may be, he's probably not going to know or whatever like that. He's going to probably be like, okay, all right, who cares? You know what I mean? But when it comes to Casper, the community was kind of tight-knit in a sense. So that way, again, like, bad news can spread very quickly. When it comes to Casper, again, it wasn't a big project to begin with. You add on top of that the security breach, the transparency that was really lacking when it comes to Casper Labs, I would say. And also on top of that, again, this news, right, with Casper Labs becoming Improve AI and then moving on to Hedera, that right there is just a really big impact, if that makes sense. It's like, for instance, a rumor in a town that only has like 5,000 people is going to spread far faster than like in New York, for instance, right? Where there's like so many people. It's like, yeah, it's impossible, millions upon millions of people. You know what I mean? So that's the way you take a look at Casper. And that sometimes is a risk with a small project. When things go wrong in the beginning, it could impact the amount of holders very drastically. But even despite all that, in my opinion, Casper, fundamentally speaking, as a layer 1 blockchain, really isn't bad at all. At least that's the way you take a look at it. I get it. The price is very bad, in my opinion. It's complete caca, right? Casper Labs, again, they're quite essentially out of the picture forever, hopefully. But yeah, that'd be great. But here's the thing. You also take a look at when it comes to Casper, now it's under the guidance of the Casper Association. Sometimes people like to say that, yeah, Casper, it's a bad layer 1 blockchain, all this type of stuff. But I disagree. Fundamentally speaking, it's not bad at all. Very low gas fees. It's very scalable. It's very fast. These are the traits that people often look for when it comes to good layer 1 blockchains. Like, for instance, they love that about Solana. They love that about, Algorand, Avalanche, many layer 1 blockchains out there, right? Casper has those qualities. Now, some people like to say that, yeah, when it comes to Casper, there's too many competitors, all this type of stuff. But in my opinion, in the world of cryptocurrencies, sometimes that doesn't really matter. Like, for instance, do you think there's only like 5 meme coins? No, there's so many, right? But then we see a lot of them doing very well. Why? It's because when people believe in something, when the hype is, at a great level, when the FOMO is high, people typically just FOMO into things that are like low and then they hope that it goes up. Now, it doesn't always guarantee that it will go up, but when you take a look at something like Casper, it has the hypothetical potential to, because again, it's so low and it could go even lower. And what I really like about Casper, now that it's under the guidance of the Casper Association, I like how it's more of a retail focus, because of course, through that, hopefully they're going to, be focusing on like exchange listings, promoting what they're doing. Because previously, right, with Casper Labs, they barely announced anything. There was really not much action going on, in my opinion. I remember I covered when Casper got listed on KuCoin, but ever since then, it kind of has begun like downhill, so to speak, because I don't know, did they care? Did they not care? Who knows, right? At that point, there wasn't much updates anymore. And I didn't really like that. But when I take a look at Michael Stewart, the CTO of the Casper Association, he's more involved, right? I see him on X. He's actually posting. There was like a Q&A session not too long ago as well. So I really like that when it comes to the new direction. Also, you have to take a look at how when it comes to Casper 2.0, that could be massive when it comes to Casper. So again, only time will tell. Again, Casper 2.0, aka Condor. But again, it only takes time, but we'll wait and see. Now, here's the thing. One suggestion I would like to have when it comes to Casper is that probably having a rebrand. And now I'm not saying that they should change the name or like change their focus. I'm not saying that. Here's the thing. I would like to maybe have them change the color of Casper. Now, you take a look at the Casper logo. The new Casper logo that we have right now, I would argue looks a lot worse than the previous one. You know what I mean? The previous one was good. This one just looks kind of like caca, in my opinion, to be honest. They should change it. Now, the current Casper logo, it's like a C, but then there's like a divot, there's like a notch. It kind of reminds me of like Mernal's hair. Do you remember Mernal? Hashtag Casper Labs. But yeah, besides that point, if you know, we should kind of change it, in my opinion, the logo. Now, I don't know, I'm not a logo designer or something like that, but they should probably figure it out. And this way, I think it changes the sentiment, even though fundamentally, I don't think they should change anything. But just in terms of the perception, I think there should be a rebrand in terms of the logo and also in terms of the color. Because if you take a look at it, color psychology, there's some importance there, right? When it comes to, again, color psychology, we take a look at, for instance, this, image by UX design. They say that when it comes to color psychology, what does blue represent, right? Trust, peace, loyalty, competence. So that's amazing. You take a look at when it comes to purple, royalty, luxury, spirituality, ambition. Also, you take a look at the color pink, compassion, sincerity, sophistication. Now, some people may think that this doesn't matter, but in my opinion, it could matter because, again, it could change the sentiment when it comes to people because maybe they're traumatized when it comes to Casper. Who knows, right? But I think changing the color would help because there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. And also on top of that, changing the logo, I think, would just help clear out the air, so to speak, and just forget about the past, quite essentially. You know what I mean? It's like, for instance, someone's dating someone, they got a bunch of dolls or whatever, and then they throw it out just to forget about it. Something like that. I'm not saying a lot of people do that, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? And here's the thing. Some people like to say, okay, purple's kind of corny or whatever like that. Well, Solana, the color, I would say the main theme of it is like purple. So it's not doing bad. Also, you take a look at pink. You take a look at Polkadot, right? That color is pink, the logo primarily. That's doing great. You also take a look at, for instance, the color blue. You take a look at Cardano, for instance, like Cody. You take a look at, of course, like, Litecoin, for instance, even though Litecoin hasn't really been relevant as of late, but still, there are some good examples there when it comes to the color blue. Also purple, also pink. Now, again, this may seem kind of like, arbitrary. People are like, who cares? But here's the thing. I would like to see it happen, because, again, I think a rebrand is necessary. We don't need, this logo, again, to remind us of the past, in my opinion, when it comes to Casper, even though there's nothing really wrong with it to begin with, even though I don't really like it. But, again, they should probably change the color, change the logo a little bit, even though I think the name should still stay the same. Now, also on top of that, is my price target still like $2 when it comes to Casper? Absolutely not. Let alone $1, I don't think is realistic at all, especially during this bull run. Now, it could prove me wrong, never know, right? But especially with what happened, I don't think so. Now, what is going to be my new price target? I think it's somewhere around 50 cents or below. Now, I'm still formulating what my, plan is when it comes to Casper in terms of my price target, and I'm going to make an update video on that. But the reason why I'm still waiting is because I want to wait and see, in the next month, 2 months, what happens when it comes to Casper. Also, on top of that, the direction of the Casper Association, there's still time to tell. But in my opinion, again, $2, $1, that's out of the question. I'm taking a look at 50 cents or below. Now, I could maybe change that depending on what happens when it comes to Casper, but we'll see, right? Historically speaking, the peak of the altcoin season is still quite a ways away because usually as a worst case scenario, altcoins, they've been known to peak around a year and a half after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, the last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April, so a year and a half, aka 18 months after that, is October of next year. So that's still around a year from right now. Still plenty of time when it comes to Casper to truly change the momentum, truly change the sentiment. And again, I would like to see them change the color of the logo and change the logo design. But even besides that point, there's still time there. So there's still some time, I think, to evaluate what Casper could be. But again, I don't think it's going to go to the price of like $2 or like $1 as of right now. But still, even despite that, right? It's not like it's necessarily gloom and like all caca, all this type of stuff. No, because if, let's say, which all signs are pointing towards, by the way, but this could not happen. This could happen. Who knows? Only time will tell. I'm not guaranteeing anything. If let's say Casper were to go to the price of half a cent, right? If let's say that were the case, and then Casper eventually, during this bull run, for instance, were to, let's say, go to the price of like 20 cents, for instance. Let's say that's a hypothetical scenario. That's around a 40x from here. That's kind of insane to think about. And it's not like 20 cents is all this crazy or something like that. No, right? So when you take a look at Casper, again, it's reached 20 cents in the past. So when you take a look at it, just going to the price of 20 cents, if let's say, again, Casper were to go to the price of half a cent, that's around a 40x, which is kind of insane to think about. And I'm not guaranteeing Casper is going to do that, but it just feels like if the sentiment changes, if let's say the positive, news comes in when it comes to Casper, when it comes to condo, right? Casper 2.0, when it comes to development, when it comes to exchange listings, going to the price of, let's say, 5 cents doesn't seem too difficult, in my opinion. 10 cents, right? Especially during a fully fledged bull run, that's kind of insane. The way I view Casper as of right now is that basically it's a lot lower than many meme coins out there. So instead of like me getting into like a meme coin full on, even though I do love some meme coins, don't get me wrong, but here's the thing, isn't Casper kind of looking appetizing in my opinion? Because again, the price is so low, but then the project isn't bad at all. Now again, only time will tell. I haven't sold any Casper. I'm still staking. I'm still believing in Casper in a sense because I don't think it's going to, just go to zero. At least that's the way I view it. There's going to be a point again when it bottoms out eventually, when people just completely refuse to sell in most cases, right? There's going to be a moment like that, in my opinion, much like Bitcoin. Now, does that guarantee that Casper is going to go up? No. But eventually there's going to be a bottom somewhere. And again, I'm going to wait through that. I'm going to stick through that because I think, again, the bull run is far from over. So around a year from right now, we'll see. I'm not saying that I'll be correct or anything like that, or I'm not saying that, oh yeah, I'm guaranteeing all this type of stuff. We'll have to wait and see. But again, I would like to see Casper make some changes. And I just feel like Casper is so low to the point that just going up a little bit seems like already fantastic. So again, I think that better days could be ahead. Only time will tell, but I'm staying patient when it comes to Casper. I still believe in its fundamentals, though. I don't think it's a bad layer on blockchain. Yes, Casper Labs, they moved on. They made a business decision, I would say. But hey, it is what it is. What Casper Labs did is basically like, do you remember when Kawhi Leonard went to the Raptors and then he won the NBA championship and he left? Do you remember that? And then ever since he left, the Raptors haven't been the same. And here's the thing. Kawhi Leonard also hasn't been the same either. He hasn't been doing that great, in my opinion. Also, you take a look at the Raptors. But yeah, that's the way you take a look at what happened. Does that mean the Raptors are complete caca? No. But again, I don't think they're going to win like an NBA championship anytime soon. You know what I mean? It's much like Casper. I don't think it's going to be bad. But I don't think it's going to go to the price of $1 or $2 anytime soon, especially during this bull run with this news, of course. At least that's the way you take a look at it. But again, like 20 cents, like 25 cents, hypothetically, I feel like that's not that hard to achieve. But only time will tell. We'll see. And feel free to become a channel member if you want a prioritized response from me in the comments. And also, when you comment, you can use these like cool badges or stickers. So I think it's fantastic. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.